Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Dana with the Data. So, let's talk about the Congressional Black Caucus. Well, the Congressional Black Caucus just held a press conference last week claiming Trump is attacking Black Americans. But here's what they won't tell you. 76% of Black Americans support the SAVE Act, the very bill they're calling racist. And when confronted with this CNN poll, Representative Yvette Clarke said, "I don't believe it."
You just stated that the SAVE Act is an attack on civil rights and is racist. Could you just explain that further? Because 76% of Black Americans support the SAVE Act, according to CNN.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, we find it racist because at the end of the day, it's targeting Black communities with a cost burden. We've been through this historically, right? Where we've been prohibited from voting because we didn't know how many bubbles were in a soap bar. And so this is just a new iteration of that, and we're very focused on defeating it.
But if 76% of Black Americans support voter ID,
I don't believe that 76%.
CNN reported it?
Well, that's possible.
Okay.
But I do not agree with it.
But this isn't about belief. This is about decades-long pattern of the Congressional Black Caucus advocating for illegal immigrants over the very Black Americans they claim to represent. And what I'm about to show you will change how you see Black politics forever. So let me give you context. On February the 14th, 2026, the Congressional Black Caucus held a press conference with civil rights leader, the Divine Nine, and Democrat leadership. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, who chairs the CBC, claimed that Trump's policies are a direct attack on Black communities. And Hakeem Jeffries said Black America is under attack. Their main arguments were the SAVE Act is voter suppression, Black unemployment is Trump's fault at 8.3%, Trump is weakening Black voting strength, DEI rollbacks are hurting Black Americans. But here's the problem. Almost everything they said is either misleading, completely false, or deliberately ignoring what Black Americans actually want. Let me break down each claim and show you what's really going on.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, Chair of the Congressional Black Caucus for the 119th session of Congress and proud representative of New York's 9th Congressional District, located in Brooklyn, New York. We are joined here today by Maya Wiley of the Leadership Conference, Mark Morial of the National Urban League, Derek Johnson of the NAACP, Reverend Siobhan Arline Bradley of the National Council of Negro Women, Melanie Campbell of the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, and Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant of the National Pan-Hellenic Council of Presidents. I want to thank all of the leadership for joining us today and for partnership with the Congressional Black Caucus. It is critical that we gather in this moment, given what we are up against. Across the country, our communities are voicing deep concerns about the threat posed by Donald Trump and his allies. Today, our democracy, economic opportunity, fundamental freedoms, and access to the ballot box are under attack. Over the past year, we have seen a concerted effort to roll back civil rights, undermine voting access, dismantle social programs, and concentrate power in the hands of the wealthy and well-connected at the expense of our communities. From weakening the Voting Rights Act and advancing voter suppression measures like the SAVE Act, to politicizing the courts and sowing fear and division through actions cause real and disproportionate harm to Black communities. Instead of working to lower the rising cost of living and create real pathways to economic security and advancement, the Trump administration has been working overtime to take our country in the wrong direction. Today, under Trump's historically unpopular leadership, Black unemployment has reached a staggering 8.3%, the highest since the height of the COVID pandemic, undoing progress made through intentional investment and inclusive economic growth. Attacks on the Affordable Care Act continue to threaten health care for millions in our communities, putting life-saving coverage and access to prescription medications at risk. And the ongoing assaults on the diversity of our nation, from the federal workforce and Black-led institutions to journalists, educators, and local leaders, represents a direct attack on the values of our democracy. Underlying it all is a clear truth. Donald Trump and Republicans understand that their path to maintaining the majority depends on weakening the collective voting strength of Black communities through racially gerrymandering maps ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Right now, they are relying on the Supreme Court in the Louisiana v. Calais case to clear the path for their plan to cement one-party control in Washington. But let me be clear, we will not waver. The Congressional Black Caucus will not be silent. We will not back down, nor will our partners in the Divine Nine and civil rights community. Together, we are working to legislate, organize, mobilize our communities against these efforts because too much is at stake for our communities.
First, let's talk about the SAVE Act. Representative Yvette Clarke called it an attack on civil rights and compared it to Jim Crow era literacy tests. But what is the SAVE Act actually? It's a bill that requires proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. That's it. You need to show you're a citizen to vote. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because I just showed the clip of a reporter asking Representative Clarke about the CNN poll showing 76% of Black Americans support voter ID laws. Her response, I don't believe it. Think about that for a second. When presented with data showing what Black Americans actually want, she dismisses it. She doesn't believe her own constituents. And here's the kicker. She compared voter ID to Jim Crow literacy tests. But literacy tests were designed to be impossible to pass. They asked questions like, how many bubbles are in a bar of soap? Voter ID just asks, are you a citizen? Do you have ID? Study shows over 95% of Americans already have some form of ID. And for those who don't, most states offer free IDs specifically for voting. So if 76% of Black Americans support this, and it's not actually suppressing anyone's vote, why is the Congressional Black Caucus so against it? Because it's not about Black Americans. It's about illegals. Yeah.
And having said that, it's my honor to bring to the podium at this time the leader of the Democratic Caucus, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries.
Good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking my good friend and the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, for her continued leadership and partnership. Let me acknowledge all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, including, of course, our immediate past chairs, Congressman Stephen Horsford and Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. So thankful to be present with these distinguished civil rights leaders, leaders of the Divine Nine, as well as faith leaders and people from all throughout the country who are champions of the African American community, champions of the principles that make this country at its best a country of liberty and justice for all. Donald Trump once asked Black America the question, what the hell do you have to lose? The answer is everything under his administration. We know that under the Trump administration, civil rights is under attack, voting rights is under attack, reproductive rights under attack, racial justice under attack, social justice under attack, economic justice under attack, black entrepreneurship under attack. What the hell does black America have to lose under Donald Trump? The answer clearly is everything. Black America is under attack. The United States of America has been under attack by the failed policies of a failed president. And sycophants in the Republican Party who continue to act like nothing more than a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. Under the Trump administration, the black unemployment rate is up, the black home ownership rate is down, and health care is being ripped away from millions of Americans, disproportionately impacting black and brown communities and lower income white communities throughout the nation. But we're here as members of the Congressional Black Caucus, civil rights leadership, faith leaders, leaders of the Divine Nine organizations, standing together to make clear that we're not going to step back, we're here to fight back. Right. And to make sure we protect the interests of black America and all of the United States of America. Yes. And as John Lewis would often encourage us to do, we will continue to show up, we will continue to stand up, we will continue to speak up, we'll summon that character, that courage, that conviction of those upon whose shoulders in this Black History Month we proudly stand upon. And together we're going to end this national nightmare and continue this country's march toward a more perfect union. God bless you all.
Now let's talk about the black unemployment. The Congressional Black Caucus claims that under Trump, black unemployment reached 8.3%, the highest since COVID. And they're technically correct about the number. But here's what they're not telling you. Black unemployment was at a historic low of 4.3% in 2023 under Biden's policies. But what changed between 23 and 2026?
Thank you very much. First of all, good morning. We just spent about an hour, leadership of the Congressional Black Caucus and the leadership of the nation's leading civil rights organizations in conversation and celebration, because this is Black History Month. And I want the members of the media to know that this is the 100th anniversary of the Black History Month celebration. And even though for the first time in 50 years, there is no official celebration of Black History Month at the White House, there is an official celebration here in the Capitol that we just had. Number two, I could spend the next 15 minutes telling you how reprehensible and how offensive the actions in depicting Barack and Michelle Obama were last week. I could spend 15 minutes or an hour sharing with you how the pictures from Minneapolis and Los Angeles and other communities of sworn law enforcement officers engaging in abject brutality and constitutional violations. But what I want to spend the next minute or two sharing with you is a peek at the analysis that we've done on the first year of the Trump economic policies insofar as Black America and the nation are concerned. What we've seen is 1 year of chaos and confusion. We've seen 1 year of a bait and switch strategy that said, number one, if we impose tariffs, it will yield a manufacturing nirvana for the American people. Instead, what we see is that yesterday, Ford Motor Company, in releasing its earnings, had one of its worst earnings cycles in recent memory. What we see is tens of thousands going on 100,000 manufacturing jobs lost this year when we were promised a manufacturing nirvana because of these failed tariff policies. What we see is a tariff tax that is costing the average American family $1,000 a year extra in expenses due to the impact it is having on the things that they buy. And then number two, what these policies have yielded, as referenced before, is an wholesale attack on the hard-fought work of the civil rights movement going back to 1954 that opened the doors for Black Americans and women and other people to ascend to the highest levels in American life. Instead of embracing the idea that I am a president for all people, what we have seen is a campaign to divide us. To divide us by race, to divide us by gender, to divide us by red state, blue state, sectionalism, and you can imagine it. Think about the idea that any president of the United States would not invite every governor to the White House. And I applaud the governors for saying, no, we won't go unless we can all go. These have been policies that have divided this nation and hurt our economy. And then finally, the big ugly bill has cost us investments in schools and children and health care, and it is only just beginning. So on this Black History Month, we're here to say these economic policies are damaging Black America, raising our unemployment. But as has been said, we stand united to bend this curve. And we commit today to fight and fight and fight until hell freezes over, and then I can assure you we will fight on the ice. Thank you very much.
Mark Morial from the National Urban League actually lied about what caused it. He claims tariffs, anti-DEI policies, and federal layoffs. But let's be honest about what these policies actually mean. Tariffs, for instance. These are trade policies that affect all Americans, not just Black Americans. And they're designed to bring manufacturing jobs back to America. Anti-DEI policies. Here's the uncomfortable truth. DEI programs benefited white women, LGBTQAI plus community, and illegals/immigrants the most. Federal layoffs. Trump laid off 250,000 federal workers. But here's what they won't tell you. The federal government was bloated and insufficient. These weren't targeted layoffs of Black workers. They were across the board cuts. But here's the bigger question. Why is the Congressional Black Caucus more concerned about government jobs and DEI programs than about creating real economic opportunity for Black Americans? Now let's talk about the problem with the Divine Nine infiltrating Black politics. For those who don't know, the Divine Nine are historical Black fraternities and sororities. They include the AKAs, Kappa Alpha Phi, Omega, Psi Phi, Delta, Zeta, Phi Beta, and others, right? And they were heavily represented at this Congressional Black Caucus press conference because a lot of them are politicians. Dr. Stacey Grant from Zeta Phi Beta spoke. they kept referencing the Divine Nine leadership. But here's the problem. These organizations have become political machines that push a specific Democratic agenda, regardless of what's actually best for Black Americans. Throughout the press conference, they constantly talked about the advocacy of the Divine Nine. But when you look at their actual advocacy, it's always aligned with Democratic Party talking points. Reverend Bradley announced they're partnering to register 1 million new Black voters in 2026. But let's be real. This isn't about civic participation. This is about registering Democratic voters. And here's the disconnect. If 76% of Black Americans support voter ID, but the Divine Nine and CBC are fighting against it, who are they really representing? So let's get to the heart of the matter. What is the Congressional Black Caucus' real agenda? They're fighting tooth and nail against a bill that will require proof of citizenship to vote. They claim it's about protecting Black voters. But think about the logic here. Black Americans overwhelmingly have IDs. Black Americans overwhelmingly support voter ID. The only people who can't provide proof of citizenship are non-citizens. So who benefits from opposing the SAVE Act? Illegal immigrants who want to vote. Maya Wiley from the Leadership Conference complained about ICE having a $75 billion private army. She's upset about immigration enforcement. The Congressional Black Caucus is using dark history that Black Americans suffered, Jim Crow, literacy tests, voter suppression, to create an emotional argument that allows illegal immigrants to vote so Democrats can stay in power. Because here's the reality. Black Americans are starting to vote more conservatively. That 76% support for voter ID, that's a problem for Democrats. But if you can import millions of illegal immigrants and give them the ability to vote, you can replace Black voters who are leaving the Democrat plantation. And this is why Congressional Black Caucus hasn't done anything meaningful for Black Americans since the 1970s. Okay, they passed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. Great. But lynching was already illegal under other laws. What have they done about Black on Black crime in cities they control, failing schools in Black neighborhoods, economic opportunity in Black communities, the breakdown of the Black family? Nothing. Because they're too busy advocating for illegal immigrants. Here's what the Congressional Black Caucus should be doing. Working with the Trump administration, not against it. In Trump's first term, Black unemployment hit record lows. He passed the First Step Act, which released thousands of Black Americans from prison for non-violent offenses. He increased funding for HBCUs. And right now, Trump is focused on bringing manufacturing jobs back to America, securing the border to protect American workers, cutting government waste, reducing inflation. Every single one of these policies help Black Americans. Manufacturing jobs provide good paying work without requiring college degrees. Border security stops illegal immigrants from undercutting wages. Cutting waste means more efficient government. Lower inflation means your dollar goes further. But instead of working with Trump to implement these policies, the Congressional Black Caucus is fighting him every step of the way. Representative Clarke says, "We will not waver. We will not be silent. We will not back down." Translation: we will not work with Trump even if it helps Black Americans, because our loyalty is to the Democrat Party and illegal immigrants, not to our constituents. So let's bring this full circle. The Congressional Black Caucus held a press conference, and actually was on February 11th, not the 14th, my apologies, claiming Trump is attacking Black Americans. But when you actually look at the evidence, 76% of Black Americans support policies they're calling racist. They're more concerned about illegal immigrants than citizens. They haven't accomplished anything meaningful in decades. They refuse to work with an administration that could actually help. This is why foundational Black American delineation is real. Foundational Black Americans, descendants of American slaves, have different interests than Jamaican Americans like Representative Yvette Clarke or the illegal immigrants the Congressional Black Caucus is trying to protect. The Congressional Black Caucus needs to make a choice. Represent Black Americans or represent the Democrat Party's agenda. Because right now, they're doing everything except for what they were elected to do. If this video opens your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment and let me know. Do you think Congressional Black Caucus represents Black Americans or the Democrat Party? And I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Dana with the data. Dana with the data.